recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios Brisbane on 102.1 FM.
And broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Zed Games.
With 10 years experience and over 500 episodes,
Zed Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture.
Want to reach out? Message us on Facebook at ZED Games AU.
Hello, you are listening to Zed Games, and with me in the studio tonight is...
Melee.
And...
I'm not in the studio.
Well, can you give us a name?
Toby, I'm here.
And... Ronnie. Oh, geez, Ronnie, you just rushed in here. You phased through the wall.
Knock up.
Where did you come from?
Are you perhaps escaping from the city?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Awesome.
Are you escaping from anything else?
Look, we don't have time to unpack all that.
Oh, okay.
Alright, we've got quite a lot of stuff lined up for you folks at home. We've got the Week in Gaming News, of course.
Yeah.
That's a staple, that's our bread and butter. And we've also got a couple of reviews tonight, which I'm pretty keen to hear about. And I'm also pretty keen to hear about the news, because stuff's happening.
Oh my gosh, so much.
So much. So let's just hop right into it, and you all will, yeah. Let's listen to some news.
This week in gaming news, D&D OGL goes boom, more damned Activision Blizzard shenanigans, and doors close on Google Stadia. D&D OGL update aftermath. In the aftermath of the Open Game License 2.0 leak, Wizards of the Coast have struggled to claw back their fanbase as D&D Beyond servers suffer under the load of mass subscription cancellations. Additionally, several big third-party publishers who would have been affected by the new royalty system have tabled their intention to either jump ship or create their own licensing system. Kobold Press teased Project Black Flag. Matt Koval's MCDM Productions is working on both a new open game license as well as a new tabletop RPG, and Paizo/Pathfinder is looking to collaborate on an open RPG license. In response, a statement was released insisting it was never our intent to impact the vast majority of the community. They also tried to clarify, stating that any future revisions will not include the license-back provision that some people were afraid was a means for us to steal work. That thought never crossed our minds. Activision Blizzard, when will it end? As the saga continues, here's the current headlines coming out of the company that can't stop making waves. Activision Blizzard has refused to acknowledge the union that formed late last December. Management at Proletariat Studios issued the statement that leadership has always been pro-worker, and that employees deserve some time to process and better understand its potential impacts. The Microsoft Activision Blizzard merger that was announced in January 22 has had new challenges, with the European Union filing an antitrust challenge, and Google parent Alphabet Incorporated and Nvidia are filing for unfair advantages in the gaming market. These join other objections placed with the US Federal Trade Commission to be investigated by the Competition and Markets Authority and finalised in April. In some hearsay arguments, Activision Blizzard claims that it was NetEase that rejected the 6-month extension of the partnership. Various sources cite irreconcilable differences, including NetEase president referring to an Activision Blizzard executive as a jerk. Because of these, after January 23rd, several titles will no longer be accessible in China, most notably World of Warcraft, Diablo 3, StarCraft, and Overwatch 2. Doors close on Stadia. As the curtains close on the experiment that was Google Stadia, refunds have been processed for everything but Pro subscriptions, but payments were also paused the day shutdown was announced. But what about all that hardware you don't have? Well, if you did manage to get the controller, Google has pushed a self-serve tool to enable Bluetooth connections with the gamepads, meaning your Stadia gamepad may be obsolete, but at least you can still use it on the hardware you didn't get because you used Stadia. Oh, remember that guy who had over 6,000 hours in Red Dead Online on the Stadia who was pleading for a character transfer? Well, not only did Rockstar organise a transfer, he also got a gift box from the company. Unfortunately, Rockstar has announced that they will no longer be releasing any major content for Red Dead Online, instead focusing on the upcoming GTA 6. And finally, a moment for the death of Google Stadia. And now for some upcoming games. on Friday, January 20th, the next installment in the series of Fire Emblem Engages, and its Wave 1 DLC are coming to Switch. And World War I Horror Survival Trenches emerges from the Steam Early Access onto PlayStation, Xbox, and the Switch. On Tuesday 24th, the RAM-hungry RPG fantasy shooter Forspoken is coming to PC and PS5, and deck building and strategy board game mashup Mahokenshi comes to PC. And on Thursday, January 26th, for that nostalgia hit, Wonder Boy Anniversary Collection is coming to PlayStation and the Switch. The strange Hitman World of Assassination hodgepodge that collects Hitman 1 to 3, as well as Hitman 3 Freelancer Mode, are all coming to PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. And Fight the Nightmares of a Girl in the Twin-Stick Shooter Neverwake, coming to PlayStation and Switch. And that's all this week in gaming news.
Thank you very much for that week in gaming news.
Woo.
I'm sorry, I wanted to put the same amount of sauce on it. Anyway, kinda. Okay, so I just want to say, did any of us have a Stadia?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Cool. I figured that we didn't care about, but
No.
sucks to be that guy who has 6,000 hours, which is 250 days. 250 days.
That.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
but that's if you're playing 24 hours of the day.
Yeah. But
Right,
it's like,
so it'd be
I feel like 6,000 hours. It's like that's a lot of hours. I can't quantify that. 250 days.
Yeah.
That's most of a year.
Yeah.
Of solid, just like a marathon, definitely
I
spread
reckon
out.
he was probably playing like every day, like 8 hours a day,
Yeah.
right?
So it's like,
It'd be like 2.5 years or something, I think.
My hips feel bad thinking about it.
Yeah, my back already hurts and my eyes are dry.
Yeah. Moving on. D&D.
Yes.
Yeah.
it's bad.
It's bad. I've never really seen. Look, if there's one thing I know about fans of Dungeons and Dragons is that they freaking really love it so much. Just grab onto it with a little claws and don't let it go, to the point where people don't really like exploring other systems because D&D is so familiar. It is absolutely amazing to me that they managed to just ruin all that.
They didn't have to do much to just keep going in the direction they were going. And they didn't have to. They could have done good things and improved, but they could have just let it keep going.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced this will ruin them.
Yeah.
They
Because
weren't bought that.
Well,
They were only bought only a small time ago by Hasbro, so it's just I have a feeling it's money grubbing up high, but that's my 2 cents.
I mean, I would agree, but also I think I also agree. I can't talk. Radio, it's a visual medium. I don't need to talk. Is just that, it's. I mean, we've seen it time and again. Like, big things like this can make a mess up, and then people will still be loyal because they've been loyal for so long. And even I'm guilty of it, like staying with something that is familiar because it's familiar and because people are on it. Like,
I mean, we all have that game that we keep coming back to, even if it's not really fun or it's just so much trouble or time or stress. Like
Destiny 2?
Hey,
or like a
I've left that behind me.
Like or a platform that we're familiar with that maybe doesn't align with our values, like Twitch.
Yeah,
because it's familiar and you just and it's the same with Goodreads, but they're owned by the same person. So.
I do want to say though that there are a lot of really, really great, a variety of other systems out there that isn't D&D. There are so many different types that are better suited to quite a lot of ideas that people have out there for their campaigns.
Well, maybe we can do a D&D alternative episode.
Yeah, I think we did talk about that in the past, about a little bit about other systems, but
there's do
so many
top 10 list every week and we wouldn't run out. There's so many.
That's no exaggeration. It's just tabletop.
Go play, have fun. There's just so many things out there.
I think a large portion of the people that will be leaving the system are the people who are forced to leave, who are the creators. And because they will have a disproportionately smaller audience in whichever game they choose, even if they choose Pathfinder, which is D&D's biggest competitor, they're going to have less people to buy their products, so they're going to suffer. So even if you want to stay with D&D, maybe branch out and explore other games too to see that amazing work that is what makes D&D so special.
Yeah. There's a lot of creativity. Aww. It's one of the best things about this community. And just go out there. Explore.
Or
have
else.
fun. Or else.
Yes.
Or else. Maybe threatening you.
Next up, we got a review by our very own Paul for A Space for the Unbound.
A Space for the Unbound is the latest game by my favourite Indonesian developer. How many Indonesian developers do I know, I hear you ask? Well, I know 2, and they both worked on this. Mojikan Studio, makers of When the Past Was Around, Divination, and She and the Lightbearer, among others, and Togi Productions, the developer cum publisher responsible for Coffee Talk. This project has been a long time coming, starting around 8 years ago, and recently won a Future Game Award at Tokyo Game Show, which was quite the highlight as it was the only indie game represented and was being held up against heavy hitters like Street Fighter VI, Final Fantasy XVI, and Like a Dragon Ishin. My interest was piqued and my expectations high. So how did the game fare? In A Space for the Unbound, you play Atma, an Indonesian teenager living in a rural town in the 90s. The game focuses on the relationship with your girlfriend Rhea. Whilst the tone is very much that of everyday life, it also quickly goes a bit of a life is strange route, as both you and Rhea possess magical abilities. Yours being the ability to space dive into people's minds. It's riding a line between adventure game and visual novel, with its 2D side-scrolling presentation and story-driven nature, but does it stick a landing? The game begins with a short prologue chapter, which is also available as a demo, which sets the scene. My first few hours with the game were disappointing. The characterization seemed quite shallow, and honestly, pretty much a whole chapter is about baking a cake. This was Mario 64 level storytelling. I also could tell from the rate I was collecting things I must have been significantly through the game. Well, you know what they say about those who assume. I will stand by that the game has a very slow and not overly compelling start, but I was wrong about the game's length though. Turns out because the game takes place in a small town, you can find a lot of things quite early and it's not indicative of progress. Also, the story is surprising. Whilst I knew where some of the darker themes would be going due to a content warning at the start, I wasn't quite ready for the level of fantasy, surrealism and absurdity I would encounter. Once I was playing a basic Phoenix Wright scenario in a court of ducks, well, all bets were off. Gameplay wise, it's a bit flat. Mostly walking back and forth between locations, collecting the next item, and most of the time the game just tells you what to do. I'd say it didn't stop directing me explicitly until near the end. Other than that, you've got basic conversation prompts and a bunch of mini-games which are mostly fun. There's a basic fighting game mini-game which aims to emulate pushing button combinations for moves, and they use the same system for a few other things. A few puzzles here and some surprisingly fun quizzes. Just solid content that doesn't really tax you, but it's pleasant to do. I know I'm not painting an overall positive picture, but there's a lot to like here. Firstly, the game's pixel art is gorgeous, taking a pixelated anime look at the locales and people of 1990s Indonesia. Great animation and some really fun designs as things get weird. The music really stands out and helps paint a picture of the place. As the game does not contain voice work, other sounds become very important in getting the tone across. But the real achievement here is story. I don't even mean the writing. The writing is fine, but the prose on offer here isn't exactly Disco Elysium. The story and how it unfolds though, it got its hooks in me, and I had to see it through. Who doesn't want a down-to-earth, time-travelling Indonesian psychonauts anime melodrama about the nature of reality's self and soul-crushing tragedy? The ending did get a couple of tears out of me, but as covered in earlier reviews, I am a soft touch. Overall pacing-wise felt a bit drawn out, and parts of the script could have done with some editing. This is a common complaint of mine with the genre, however, so take that as you will. Some of the later puzzles are a bit strange too. When the story is getting emotional, it felt unnecessary to stop the action for a puzzle which, as I covered earlier, mostly involves running back and forth. And when approaching the climax, there's just some algebra for a puzzle. They could probably cut that out. That said, the climax is pretty wild. It gets big and fantastic and then small and real. It deals with trauma in a thoughtful way, not providing simple fixes, but pathways for progress. Oh, and did I mention cats? It's a game about cats. There are important story characters who are cats, but also there's just a bunch of cats lying around the world you can pet and name. There is a dog, and as a dog person I feel a little underserved, but the cats are well covered. You'll never find yourself far from a cat. A Space for the Unbound is beautiful in its presentation, and as a story, it's hugely successful at delivering an intriguing tale with an emotional punch, even if I felt it was a little overwritten. I thought I was about to hit the end several times before I saw credits. Gameplay-wise, it elevates itself over most visual novels, but isn't overly ambitious as an adventure game, with the majority of tasks being busy work. There are a lot of cats though. A Space for the Unbound is available on Switch, PC, and on PlayStation and Xbox platforms. I played the game on Switch with code provided by the publisher.
So you're listening to Zed Games, is that it?
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
Hello, you're listening to Zed Games.
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 Perfect. Thank you.
Oh no, it is time for a review, but real quick.
I have total insecurity.
Oh, that's okay. I will be your security
You sound
guard.
so genuinely comforting and not intimidating at all.
What? I'm about to go into a review, and you're telling me that my bedside manner is intimidating?
As you stare into my eyes, yes.
yeah. That looks a little bit threatening, like a little bit scary.
I apologize.
If I'm never on air again, you guys know who to look at.
What are you about to review?
I'm about to review The Fridge is Red. You might not want to look.
Is this a horror?
It is a horror game.
So you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
You're very on brand, right?
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Hang on. Let me just Okay.
Ooh.
It would be a fair assumption to say that everyone here is familiar with nightmares, yes?
Yes.
We've all had those awful dreams where we're running through a twisted hallway, feeling as if the air is made out of molasses. Nightmares where our teeth crumble in our mouth. Hopefully, you're able to wake...
How did you know my dreams?
Hopefully you're able to wake up. And that fear is suddenly distant and abstract, but you're still shaken up, unnerved, unsettled. Perhaps
Definitely
you're
unsettled.
aware of the effect of liminal spaces.
Oh, hey, isn't that a show on this radio station?
Do you recall walking through the hallways of your school well after school has ended, and those spaces that are normally bustling with frantic energy are now quiet, empty, waiting? Have you come out of the cinemas after closing time for the shopping centre and felt an almost surreal loneliness? In both nightmares and liminal spaces, there is an expectation, a tense preparedness for something to happen. Perhaps it is creeping up on you. Perhaps it is right around the corner. Or maybe nothing will come at all. The Fridge is Red is all these experiences and a fair bit more, wrapped up in a blocky, retro-ish art style with the added flair looking like it's been recorded on a VCR tape, with the touch of static that cathode TVs had back then. It amplifies these feelings of something out of place as the effect triggers a sense of nostalgia, but now as a twisted salt to enhance the awful anticipation this game invokes. The Fridge is Red is broken up into 6 episodes, each with a distinctive theme and mechanic system that the episode revolves around. The very first episode has you locked in a staring contest, but in order to progress you need to be curious about your environment. Another episode is a type of scavenger hunt taking place in a hospital, with the prize being able to see your wife in the oncology unit. On the one hand, that episode was pretty funny because it almost felt like a parody of how hospitals are run. But also it was pretty rough because it did actually feel like how hospitals are run.
Including Zahra's bad bedside manner.
Oi. Oi. You're given vague information, unhelpful comments, confusing directions in a space where every time you blink it feels like the room's orientation has changed. Each episode has a series of puzzles and tasks you need to complete, and you're rewarded for digging around and looking out for small details. To go into more detail would only give away some of the solutions. But if you've ever taken part in an escape room or another professionally organised puzzle game, the presentation and solution of the theme and the puzzles follows a similar progression, building up on that theme throughout the episode. However, this is a horror game, and the horror themes are present throughout the entire game.
Who would have guessed?
Shadowy forms in the distance that scream at you if you look at it for too long. A button popping off the elevator button, and you're met with an eye staring back at you. Dark hallways and rooms where you sort of brace yourself when you turn on the light, expecting something. Disembodied hands, waiting in line, blood dripping down walls, every single task prolonging the time you have to spend in these hallways, following muffled, garbled directions. Garbled directions are an auditory choice that I have to agree with. It adds to the dreamlike surrealness of this game. Information isn't lost as the game uses subtitles and will state your current task in the top left corner. You have to figure out how to complete your task, but the game makes it tricky with eerie noises, sudden distant screams, or even something as subtle and terrifying as the sound the elevator makes when it continues to speed up. It's very tense, and I couldn't decide whether it's too much noise or not enough noise. It kept me in an expectant balance. The Fridge is Red is a scary game. It's pretty spooky, eerie, nostalgic, and the titular fridge is a common theme. I was terrified, and I haven't actually finished the game. But I am considering starting over now that I feel like I processed some of the earlier episodes and I can appreciate it more. There seems to be a united story and theme, besides the fridge of course, and I feel that with my initial scaredy catness, I might have missed some details beyond what was required to solve the puzzles. It's not a long game. For a less jumpy type, it's supposed to take around 2 hours to play through all the episodes. Although I'm at 3 hours and I'm at episode 4, so your playtime might vary. There were a couple of jump scares which I felt were restrained in their placements. They were a shock, of course, but they're at a point and in a manner where they could be avoided or expected. And with all the build-up this game creates, there has to be some payoff. So that depends on your jump scare policy. And that's my very spooky tale about The Fridge is Red, which is...
I'm spooked.
It's available on Steam right now, if you want to check it out. Yeah. It's... The fridge really freaked me out, I gotta be honest.
It freaks me out too, especially when you open it and it's empty.
Yeah.
Do you think this game is too strong for people who don't consume a lot of horror?
Okay, so I would say it is definitely on the side of like being a bit too strong. It's not like as intense as say Amnesia would be, or as hectic as Alien, for example.
Mm-hmm.
The way that this game is set out, it's like the fear comes from the space that you're in and the environment that is created. There are a few events that are like, but it's kind of like, that didn't even scare me. That wasn't that scary. Never mind that my hands are shaking. Moving on. I like horror games. I'm also very scared of them. And I still managed to get through because I'm quite curious about what's going on.
Is it you like horror games the same way I really like survival games, but I'm terrible at them?
Yeah. Like, I don't think I'm actually bad at horror games. I'm just too scared to move. So I guess it just depends on your own personal tolerance. It's not a long game.
No.
It is for me, but it's not a long game. So you know, if you're feeling like you're in
Maybe
need
I'll
a
give
little
it a
spook.
go.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe I'll give it a go because I like to laugh at horror.
Okay. Well, if you
And then I cry myself to sleep, like
Oh.
at night when I'm like scared
Yeah.
because I've been playing a horror game or watching horror movies.
You know what I like to do
Yeah.
after horror games or horror movies? I like to watch cafe videos where they're making like fancy drinks and stuff because nothing spooky ever happens in a cafe. Like, can you imagine something scary happening at Starbucks? Nah.
I mean, I could, but it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, like, the customers, obviously. But I can't imagine, I don't know, demons crawling out of the walls.
I usually like to put on like a good old comfort rom-com.
Aww. That's also a good option.
Like 10 Things I Hate About You or...
Oh, God, those are classics.
Yeah.
If you just tuned in, you're listening to Zed Games. I'm Zahra, and with me in the studio tonight is Mealy, Rani, and Toby. Toby, can I get a hello? Thank you.
Hi.
Good, he's still there.
Yeah, just to make sure. It's always...
I'm still here.
It's a remote studio. It's like... You know when you have like a Skype call? Do you remember the Skype days?
No.
Yeah. Oh, you
I
know
do.
what I did
No,
find
I
one
do.
day? I had to open Skype up for a meeting. I found all of the like Skype calls I had to do with people before Discord existed. Yeah. I was like, wait, I had a
Wow.
Skype call with this friend and that friend? What? What were we playing? Probably League.
Probably. Like I was just playing Minecraft back then in the Skype era.
God.
Minecraft and Portal 2. That was everything.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
TeamSpeak.
I mean,
I seek you. God, I'm old.
Back in the day we had to use Skype. What a world we live in now.
oh, can you? I just everyone. Do you remember like the ringing theme? Do deep do 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 do.
Yes.
Yeah, just like I hated it so much. Sorry, did I kick a foot?
Yes.
What about Vent?
Okay.
That was a
That was
Watch
a
out,
threat.
Vent?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Okay.
What?
nothing.
I'm going back. I'm going back.
Anyway, oh jeez. Does anyone else remember Messenger? MSN. MSN.
I didn't really have MSN.
I had MSN.
I loved MSN.
I
had
had
Yahoo.
friends. Yeah, I had Yahoo. I had friends that had MSN, but I had
ICQ.
Yahoo.
How? Why
IRC.
is like the youngest
Yahoo's
and the oldest having like similar experiences? What is going on
Because
here?
Yahoo transcended generation.
Yahoo was
I
like the original
guess.
Tumblr.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that MySpace?
Well, no, this was before MySpace. You had Yahoo groups,
Yeah,
and you could
that's
chat
true.
in
This is true.
those.
I wasn't allowed to have MySpace.
See, my mom used Yahoo, and I was too cool, so.
Oh, my mum used Yahoo, and that's why I wanted
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to use whatever my mom was using, you know? I was like, there's cooler browsers out there, Mom. Have you ever
But
heard
also
of
this-
Google?
This girl that I went to school with that I thought was really cool had Yahoo, so, you know.
I mean, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
IRC chat would have been cooler.
And you can make your little avatars.
Custom colours.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. I mean, like,
And
I
also,
loved
I like
MSN.
to look on Yahoo Answers. Who doesn't love to look on
Yahoo Answers was so good.
Does it still exist?
No,
I
I'm
don't
pretty
think
sure
it
it got
no.
shut down.
Which is actually tragic.
I think it's
just
now
like,
the equivalent is Quora or something
Yeah.
like
oh, it's not the same.
that. It's
No,
not the
Quora
same.
is so much worse.
Cora's not as... I never understand what's going on that website. The layout's so weird.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like, Yahoo had like we had like, are you pregnant?
Yeah. Am I important? Am I
I'm pregnant.
pomegranate? Here's one. How is baby B formed? How is baby B formed? How girl get pregnant?
The old
we just don't get stuff like that
Or like
anymore.
all the like Yahoo answers are like, am I important? You're like,
Am I
Well,
pregnant?
I always remember that one
Pregnant.
reply, that one answer that was kind of like
Oh my
something
God.
something yada 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 source. Just trust me.
yeah.
I had a conversation with a 7-year-old about how a noob was a beginner and how a hacker was better than a legend at the game. And I think we have to have this conversation with young kids about just balancing the field when it comes down to a noob is not a beginner. A noob is somebody who is like not doing well.
Well, it comes
and
from
needs
the
help.
word newbie. But
Yeah.
also,
But there's a negative connotation.
But
Yeah.
like there's an insult to
yeah,
it.
it's an insult.
Like you don't kind of go when someone's new, you'd be like, "Oh, you're a newbie."
Yeah, but
But
if they're
if someone's
like
playing
a veteran
bad-
and they're bad, you call them a noob.
Yeah, you're
because
like, "What
they're
are you,
playing
noob?"
like a newbie, but they should be better than that.
Yeah.
Yahoo Answers is what Ask Reddit is. That's what. That's,
Oh!
yeah.
Ask Reddit.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
Ask
God.
Reddit now.
Gosh.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, I came to that conclusion and I was like, oh my god. It is. So that's what the kids know.
choked
It's
my
Ask
mouth.
Reddit.
I guess Ask Reddit is the next evolution of it. I don't know. It's just not. I mean, that explains why 80% of the questions are like related to sex. So.
Oh yeah.
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 Aren't we meant to be talking about
Games.
TV shows?
I don't know.
TV
Reddit
shows?
is.
We can talk about
Reddit exists as an
Collectible
online
toys?
community that TV shows collectible toys.
What about
What's
TV
the
shows?
show
you think of,
about?
Bailey?
Oh
show-
my
the
gosh,
show
Mainly, I'm
is
so sorry. I
Zed
forgot. Zed
something.
Games.
The best in gaming news reviews and community and
Community
culture.
and culture.
But this
Reddit
is
is
culture. This is
community and
history.
culture.
This is history.
Yeah.
TeamSpeak, Skype, MSN.
Yahoo
you know,
Answers.
these were all like.
You used to be able to ask like how to fix like how to get through games and stuff in Yahoo Answers. You'd only ever get mean responses, but
Yeah. Well,
But
You
you
could
could
ask.
ask.
yeah, you could ask.
it was an option that was available to you. Oh, geez.
It's like asking a big brother.
Yeah, exactly. I was
okay,
just
everyone.
thinking-
Okay, everybody. Real quick, because this is a game show. What
This
have
is
you
a
just
game
been,
show.
What have you been playing recently? Go, Melee,
Grounded.
Ronnie,
Halo.
Toby.
Pokemon.
Aww.
I'm about to start playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Ooh, exciting.
Yes.
I'm very
Send me a message. I want to play with you.
Okay.
Do you have anything planned for future playing Melee?
I have a bunch of things that I picked up over Christmas that I haven't been able to play because I was moving house.
Right.
So I'm
yeah,
gonna-
you moved house.
I got lots.
Oh, very exciting.
Mm.
I'm looking forward to playing Madagascar for the PS2.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've also been playing Raptor Boyfriend, a high school romance.
Oh, what a
Just
variety
in,
of
like,
games.
Little 15-minute bits. Yeah, how to go Halo, Tiny Tina, Raptor Boyfriend.
I mean, look, that's just the way it goes.
Dating Sims.
Hooked on You. I need to finish Hooked on You.
Ooh.
It's the Dead by Daylight dating sim.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Got halfway through and then I had to stop
Why? Because it was just like.
because I was moving.
Oh, right. Yeah. I was gonna
Why?
like.
Why? Because your dating life wasn't going well in the sim.
No, I already nailed it. In
yeah.
the first go.
Nice.
Got the dream boy.
Oh, who?
I wish.
Who's?
I don't want to say. I'm
Are
ashamed.
you? You're telling me off
it's
air.
your dream
You're
boy,
telling me
right?
off air. Okay. Okay.
Out of the options, it was clearly the best option.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Oh,
It was
dear.
available
Everybody,
to
send
me.
in your theories as to who Melee might be pronouncing.
Please, message in now.
But we are actually coming up to the end of the night for us, which is happens all the
sad.
time.
Every week
Every
we get
week.
to this point and I get sad and I wasn't even meant to be on this week. I just
You keep
came through
ending
the walls.
up in here. I was like literally like Ronnie's gonna have a break this week, and then you just
I just waved through the window and you're like, come in.
No
I was
breaks.
Like, yes.
Only Zed Games.
only Zed Games.
No, I needed the distraction.
Except for it now, it's actually the end of Zed Games for tonight.
Only
I'm sad.
breaks. No Zed Games.
I'm sad.
To play us
Oh, the
out.
Zed Games.
And with that, everybody, good night.
Good night.
Thanks for listening to Zed Games.
If you'd like to listen to more, check out our podcast on Spotify.
Or follow us on social media at ZED Games AU.
See you next time.